Hi, welcome back to Criminal Law TV. Today we're going to discuss the changes in law having to do with drugs, driving, and whatever else is left over. So, let's get to it.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Okay, we're going to start out today. By the way, I'm Ken Lammers. Welcome to Criminal Law TV. We're going to start out today with the new laws that have to do with drugs. All these laws went into place on the 1st of July 2013. And to start out with the drugs, we have, first of all, 18.2-248J has been changed so that if someone has ammonium nitrate with the intent to use it to make methamphetamine, methcathinone, or amphetamine, it's a Class 6 felony, up to 5 years in prison. 18.2-248.02 has been changed so that if a minor under the age of 15 is present, a minor between 16 and under 18 is present who is under the guardianship of the adult, or someone who's physically or mentally handicapped. If any of those are present during the making of meth, it's 10 to 40 years in prison. Okay, so now we then move on to 18.2-248.1:1, and this is changes to the synthetic marijuana laws. Primarily, and this is in A1 mostly, also A2 I guess, A1 and A2. I look at this and it's just strings of, chemistry. I don't understand it. Most people I know don't understand it. Basically, you have to tell the officers, if you don't know, send it to the lab. And that's the way we've got to handle this. There's got to be a better way to handle this. Personally, I don't know what it is, and I'm not sure that the General Assembly is able to find a better way of doing it either. God willing, somebody will eventually. There's also been additions to 54.1-3446, which is the list of Schedule I drugs. Under several different chemical formulas, there's ethanamine, and then there's benzofuran, dihydrobenzofuran, benzenethanamine, and that's under two different chemical formulas. So those are your new Schedule I drugs. Good luck. Mostly it's just, again, lists of chemical formulas. We also have some new Schedule III drugs, methasterone and prostanozol, which are both steroids. I think they're older type steroids, I'm not sure. I think they pretty much are things that have slipped through the cracks before the General Assembly is catching up with them. Vehicle laws in Virginia. New vehicle laws, 18.2-270C2. The felony law of felony DUI in Virginia has changed. If someone has previously been convicted of a felony DUI, any subsequent DUI is now a felony. To be a little bit clearer on that, it used to be felonies had to be within 10 years of at least 2 prior DUIs. Now there's no longer a 10-year window. So if year 1 he gets a misdemeanor, year 5 he gets a misdemeanor, year 9 he gets the felony, 3 within 10, then anything beyond year 9 is a felony DUI and carries the mandatory minimum year in prison. That's under 18.2-270C2 as well. Texting, which has always been a secondary offense in Virginia, or has been for a long time at least, has changed to a primary offense. This means that an officer can pull somebody over for texting now when they couldn't before. They could only charge somebody with texting if they caught them doing something else and they were also texting. Now the officer can pull them over for texting alone. So if you're one of those people that sits there with your driver on top of the steering wheel doing this, well, you need to look out. Punishments have also been increased for being caught texting. It's $125 for the first time, it used to be $20, and it's $250 for the second time, and it used to be $50. There's also been an addition to the reckless driving statute, 46.2-868C, where anybody using a personal communication device, which I think means more than texting, can mean using it as a phone or whatever else, and that is part of the reckless driving. They get a mandatory minimum $250 fine. So, things to watch out for. They also went in and changed things having to do with mopeds and motorcycles. The moped, 46.2-100, they've added on to the definition of what a moped is. They've added it, if it has an engine, it has an input of 1,500 watts or less. If it's something that's power driven, with or without pedals, so that a person assists, and it's something that it's not operated in speeds excess of 35 miles per hour. This has been the law for a while, or actually it had stopped being the law, and last year or the year before they brought back the 35 mile an hour thing. Basically, the moment a moped hits 35 miles an hour, it magically transforms into a motorcycle, which around here, where you've got mountains and you might end up going downhill and not being able to keep it under 35, can be a big deal. Now, motorcycles themselves, now under 46.2-328C, the motorcycles are going to have endorsements for driver's licenses shall have endorsements for 2- or 3-wheeled vehicles. Now, up till the 1st of July 2013, motorcycle endorsement covered both 2- and 3-wheeled vehicles. They're now separating those, and per 46.2-337, there will be different tests for 2- and 3-wheeled vehicles. I think the problem they're trying to solve here is that a lot of people have been taking the test on 3-wheeled vehicles, and while it's fairly easy to drive a 3-wheeled vehicle around, it's not so easy to drive the 2-wheel, and so it's not really appropriate for them to have the endorsement for both. I am informed, but have not tested this myself or talked to anybody from the DMV. I'm informed that somebody who has a prior motorcycle endorsement will be grandfathered in for both. Okay, now going back to mopeds, 46.2-600, a moped must have a registration and a title. I think it's going to cost $14 per year. This is brand new as of the 1st of July 2013. They will also have to have plates. Now, this law is in place now, but cannot be enforced by officers until July 1st, 2014. I guess the General Assembly is trying to give everybody a chance to know that they have to have license plates. Somebody brings 46.2-662. If somebody brings a moped from another state, they've got 30 days to get it licensed and registered. The 46.2-715, only one license plate has to be attached to the moped and it has to be on the rear. 46.2-908.3, as of 1st of October 2013, all slow-speed vehicles must have a license plate. I'm not sure exactly what they're referring to as slow-speed vehicles. I know it's not ATVs, because there's a specific statute that says ATVs don't have to have a license plate, but they're referring to something else, and I look forward to either the courts or the General Assembly letting us know what that means exactly. 46.2-914, a moped driver must have a government-issue photo ID. It does not have to be a driver's license, but it must be a government-issue photo ID. 46.2-915, a dealer who sells a moped without the permanent sticker on it telling what the engine displacement or wattage is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. 46.2-915.2, somebody who's driving a moped, it either has to have a windshield or that person has to be wearing some sort of goggles or face protection, eye protection. Minors driving vehicles. 46.2-334.01b, a person under 18 years of age for their first year of driving cannot have more than one passenger under 21 in their vehicle. It used to be they couldn't have more than one passenger under 18 in their vehicle. They bumped it up. After a year of driving, that minor can have 3 passengers under 21 when driving to school, when driving to a school activity, I should say, when somebody who's 21 or older is in the front passenger seat, or if there's an emergency. There's also an older exception that says that they can drive more than 3 people if there's if it's family. They went in and did a whole bunch of twiddling around with lines and lights and that sort of thing. 2 yellow lines, no vehicle shall drive left of that 2 yellow lines except when turning left. Traffic lines include all temporary traffic control devices used to emulate lines and markings. Vehicular traffic shall not enter a lane over which a 1 or 2-way left turn white arrow lane use control signal is shown, except to make turn movement indicated by a signal. In other words, you can't go into that middle lane unless you're going to make a turn. You have to lean, and they have to yield right away to pedestrians and cars coming across the way. Interfering, 46.2-832, interfering with the effective operation of a traffic control device, it's a Class 1 misdemeanor. 46.2-833, traffic lights, flashing circular red, stop before entering the intersection. Flashing red arrow, stop before going in the direction of the arrow. Flashing circular amber, proceed using reasonable care, yield the right of way. Flashing amber arrow, proceed in direction using reasonable care, yielding right of way. These were pretty much the way it's already been done, per my understanding, but apparently they felt they had to put this in. And 46.2-834D, when an authorized flagger assumes control of vehicle traffic into or through a temporary control zone using hand signal devices or an automated flagger assistance device, all vehicles shall obey his signals. Which, again, is the way it's been done, so I don't know what they're accomplishing there. Shared use paths. The locality can establish shared use paths, and if it does so, it can make people stop. People and people and bicycles, etc., stop before they go across the roads and have a $100 fine if they don't stop. Okay, other crimes that didn't quite fit under anything else. 18.2-174 is changed so that impersonating any local, city, county, state, or federal law enforcement officer is a crime. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor. It has been forever. They just expounded upon what officer meant. I think before it just said officer, and they added local, city, county, state, or federal. 15.2-1612, wearing a police or sheriff uniform with the intent to deceive. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor, and a subsequent offense is a Class 6 felony. So that's pretty much the same offense. Again, in 18.2-174, a secondary offense is a Class 6 felony. 18.2-174.1, a second offense of impersonating an EMT, a firefighter, a special forest warden, fire marshal, or fire chief is a Class 6 felony. The second time. Electronic tracking, brand new statute, 18.2-60.5, it is a Class 3 misdemeanor to electronically track someone, which is a fine. There's no actual time in jail possible, but it's a fine. Of course, there are exceptions to this. Police officers who jump through all the hoops to get the correct warrant, parents, the owner of a fleet of vehicles. Private investigators can do it under certain circumstances, but before they do, they really need to check the law on this. I think specifically they cannot do it if they're investigating someone who has a protective order against their client. IDs for alcohol. Anyone serving alcohol to someone under 21 without asking for a bona fide ID is guilty of a Class 3 misdemeanor. Again, only a fine. That used to be a Class 1 misdemeanor, possibility of 12 months in jail, but they reduced the sentence. They reduced the possible sentence. Bona fide IDs include, there's a whole list of them, primarily, well, not primarily, they are all government IDs. You have to have a government photo ID. What they're trying to cut out here, and what specifically says is not a bona fide identification, is a student ID card. Student ID cards are not allowed to be used to buy alcohol. And that's all under 4.1-304B. 58.1-1017.1, possession of more than 500 cartons of tax-paid cigarettes by somebody who's not authorized to distribute is a Class 6 felony, up to 5 years in prison. Between 25 to 500 is a Class 1 misdemeanor, or a Class 6 felony if it's a second offense. So 25 to 500 is up to 12 months first time and up to 5 years second. 58.1-1017C, selling, purchasing, transporting, receiving 500 or more packs of cigarettes without tax stamps with the intent to evade taxes is a Class 6 felony, and a second offense is a Class 5 felony. So if somebody gets unstamped cigarettes and tries to run them up to New Jersey or whatever, they get the up to 5 years the first time and up to 10 years the second time they're caught. Counterfeit cigarettes, first distribution is Class 1 misdemeanor if it's less than 10, up to 12 months in jail, and subsequent offenses are a Class 6 felony, up to 5 years in prison. Distributing 10 or more counterfeit cigarettes is always a Class 6 felony, up to 5 years in prison. That's 18.2-264.14A. 19.2-245.01, cigarette offenses of certain types, although it seems maybe all of them, can be prosecuted in the city of Richmond. 18.2-513 adds violations of, we'll move on from that one. 19.2-386.21, cigarettes possessed with the intent to distribute illegally are subject to forfeiture, as well as any items used and substantially to help with that intent. So, obviously, now this doesn't occur here in Southwest Virginia. I suspect people who decide to smuggle cigarettes here just stop in Kentucky and get them. But on the eastern parts of Virginia, Richmond and all those, people from up north come down here, fill up trucks, and try to smuggle them up to their states. And I think this is meant to stop that sort of thing. Okay, new vicious animal statute. Actually, it's called a vicious dog statute, but it covers all animals. 3.2-6540.1 D. Anybody who owns or is in custody of a canine crossbreed, or other animal, and whose willful act or admission in the care, control, or containment of that of a canine crossbreed, or other animal is so gross, wanton, and culpable as to show a reckless disregard for human life, and is the proximate cause of such dog or other animal attacking and causing serious injury to another person, to any person, is guilty of a Class 6 felony, up to 5 years in prison. Basically, this breaks down to the guy who's got that pit bull in the front yard on a chain on the front, on one of his trees, where the pit bull can either get free, he knows the pit bull can get free, or it can reach somebody who's walking down the sidewalk, stuff like that, or leaving it where your kid could stumble into wherever you're keeping it and get chewed on. So, this is a new statute, and hopefully will stop some of these things. False liens, 18.2-213.2, filing a false lien is a Class 5 felony, up to 10 years in prison, and a judge, when he finds somebody guilty of this, shall order the lien removed. This kind of thing is something that we haven't seen, at least I haven't seen a whole lot, but it's something that I've heard about from out west, where they have all these sovereign citizens and such, and they get mad at a mayor or a sheriff or judge or anybody, and they go in and they file false liens against his property, which 10 years later, when the sheriff goes to sell his property, he has 7 false liens on it and has to spend a year and a bunch of money on legal fees to get that fixed. This is in reaction to that sort of thing. 24.2-104B, the Attorney General, if asked by the State Board of Elections, can investigate and prosecute election violations. Criminal street gangs, they've added predicates to the predicate acts for criminal street gangs, so these can be used to prove, these acts done can be used to prove that the gang is a criminal street gang. Capital murder, aggravated malicious wounding, throwing someone from above one story, strangulation, possession of infectious agents or radiological agents, burglary, B&E with intent to commit murder, rape, or arson, grand larceny, receiving a stolen firearm, selling meth, discharging a firearm in a dwelling house, using a machine gun, possessing a sawed-off shotgun, possessing a firearm by a felon, possession of a firearm by a non-citizen, possession of a firearm with drugs, stalking, distribution of synthetic marijuana, distribution of drugs, and distribution of marijuana, as well as conspiracies for those offenses. So any of those can be used to prove that this was done for the benefit of the criminal organization, and therefore it is a criminal street gang. DJJ offenses, these are primarily things I think that were already offenses if they were done in the Department of Corrections. They've now been made offenses in detention centers for juveniles. 18.2-248.1, if somebody abducts or holds someone hostage, it's a Class 3 felony. 18.2-431.1, Class 6 felony to give somebody who's in DJJ a cell phone, or for a person in detention centers to have one. 18.2-474, Class 1 misdemeanor, deliver anything to a person in juvenile detention without permission. 18.2-474.1, delivering marijuana or synthetic marijuana to someone in prison or in detention is a Class 5 felony. Delivery of firearms or ammunition to a person in juvenile detention is a Class 4 felony, 2 to 10 years in prison. 18.2-475, a guard voluntarily allowing a person committed to DJJ to escape is a Class 4 felony, up 2 to 10 years in prison. 18.2-476, a guard voluntarily allowing somebody who's in the detention center to escape when they're charged with what would be a misdemeanor adjudication. It's a Class 2 misdemeanor, up to 6 months in jail. 18.2-477.2 makes the crimes in 53.1-203 a Class 6 felony, up to 5 years in prison. These are the basic crimes that you have in the Department of Correction, to include breaking off the sprinkler head and everything, all these felonies. Now, and finally, we have the new critter laws. There are always new critter laws in Virginia. 29.1-517 and 29.1-530 make it legal for landowners to trap and shoot beavers, muskrats, and raccoons that are nuisances on their land. Something that has been going on for the last 200 years in Virginia. Oh, actually, probably more like the last 300 years in Virginia. And General Assembly finally gets around to making it legal. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this year's laws and what have been changed. Hopefully this will be helpful, and hopefully I didn't stammer too much while doing it. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. And if you have any comments or think I missed anything, put those there too. So, have a good week, and I'll see you in next week sometime.